Greetings and welcome to the latest garage update video. In terms of the garage, just before I walk out, I've been playing with my drawer setup, which is pretty cool, and there's some cool things happening down there. And as before, this video features things for both the RS and the Mini, so let's get started. Starting with the RS, we find ourselves here at the rear of the car, and specifically I'm looking at this, the Ford Performance by Mountune badge. This is the badge that you get with the FPM375 setup, and whenever I upgraded to MSD, I just left it on there because it still felt kind of relevant, because it's obviously a Ford Performance car. I do have a bunch of Mountune hardware, so I just left it on there. But that was a while ago now, and if you look closely, you can see that the performance part, which used to be red, has now sort of turned yellow, but that's not a big deal. The main sort of big deal for me is if I go around the side here, you can see that the silver finish is flaking off. So this basically is starting to look a bit bad. So what I'm going to do today is I am going to remove the FPM375 badge. Alright, to get this off then, very simply, all we need is some dental floss. Well, there we are. That is what is left behind. Some sticky goop, which, shouldn't be too hard to get off. And then obviously the badge itself. Next step is to get this stuff off, so that comes off all right. Yeah, it's coming off not too bad. I mean, it's obviously pretty well stuck on there. So what I might grab here is some glue and tar remover just to get that nice and cleaned. So this is what I'm going to use, the bug and tar remover from McLaren. Get it on, and then I'll let that sit and do its thing for a minute, and then once it's done that, I'll come and buff off and it should come off nice and clean. There we go then, that is the area nicely cleaned up. The question then now would be, should I put something here to replace the FPM375 badge, or should I just leave it as is? One thing that had crossed my mind was these bad boys right here. These are gel badges from the White Line sponsorship decal pack thing. So I thought maybe that would go well there. Let me know what you think down in the comments section below. I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions on that. But for now, I think I'll just leave it sort of au naturel as it is, see what you have to say, and then make a decision later on. Okay then, with that done, we'll move on to the second thing for today, which takes place inside the RS. Alright, jumping into the car then, if I just pop the ignition on, you will see the issue. There we go. Key battery low, replace soon. So I mean, this is a pretty common thing, it happens eventually. The little battery in the keys don't last forever, of course. So what I'm going to show you is the way that I replace these batteries, okay? Because I think there's a lot of people out there who, well, they simply don't know how to do it. There's a lot of what I would consider to be misinformation out there about how to do this process, and to be honest, I think overcomplicating it. So I'm going to show you right now how I do it quickly, easily, without any particular special tools, so you can do it yourself, save yourself some hassle, and save yourself potentially some money. Alright then, first thing, let's talk the actual batteries themselves. So what you need is a CR2032. Now that is just the type of battery, and then within that there are quite a lot of different brands and manufacturers who make this particular specification of battery. Now my advice would be get a good quality one, get a good quality brand first of all, such as Duracell. Very simply because the cheaper ones, they're cheap for a reason. They simply will not last very long, which means that you're going to have to go through this whole process more often, and who wants to do that? Then the other thing to note is the word lithium on these ones particularly. So lithium batteries very simply last longer again. So if you see the word lithium on the pack, then you're good to go. Putting the batteries to the side, then we'll get into the actual key dismantling. Now I've got a little cover on here which I am just going to remove. You probably won't have that. So the poor advice, in my opinion, that I've seen in the past is when people are told to squeeze these side bits off to remove this, then remove the inner key and then start jamming a screwdriver in here to try and separate the parts of the key. I think that is pretty bad advice, and the reason for that is using a screwdriver to do this, like a metal screwdriver, is kind of a bit of a dangerous thing, because if you don't have the right size of screwdriver and if you don't get it in the exact right place and twist it in the exact right way, you are probably going to damage the plastics in the inside of your key, and you really don't want to do that. So my method is like way simpler, and the only thing you need is a guitar pick. Now I play a little bit of guitar, so I've got a whole bunch of these lying around. If you don't play guitar, it's not a big deal. These are very cheap, and specifically this is a 1mm thick guitar pick, which means it has a little bit of flexibility, but it is reasonably rigid, which is exactly what we want. And the nature of these is they have like a rounded edge just by default. So all of the properties of a guitar pick, a 1mm guitar pick, just makes it the perfect tool for doing this job. You can see quite clearly the separation between the two halves of the key, and essentially what we need to do is just simply to pop them apart. So just getting the guitar pick in here, you don't even need to use like the indentations. In fact, it might even be easier to not use the indentations. But yeah, just very simply working the guitar pick around, and you can see it's already popped. So then we just give it a little bit of a wiggle and it's apart. Very simply. So you can see our old battery right here. Down at this bottom end, there's a little exposed area that doesn't have any plastic sides. So we can just use the exact same guitar pick and just get it underneath the battery. There we go. And that is it, literally popped out. Okay, so then we can grab one of our new batteries. Okay, and we need to remove the child protection strip. Okay, so we can get rid of that old one, and then we very simply, we just line this up and pop it on. So that sticky stuff stayed on there, but there we go. Alright, and then it's a very simple case of just lining up the other half and clicking it together. And that is literally the job done. As you can see, yeah, system check 0 message is active. So that has been a successful battery change, and as you could see, very quick, very simple, very easy. Don't pay someone ridiculous amounts of money, because even like, you know, the cost of those batteries, even the good ones, aren't that expensive. So yeah, just DIY all the way. Okay, moving on to the final part then of today, and that is with regards to the Mini, and specifically if I hunker down here to the wheels, and even more specifically the wheel nuts. You may remember from not so long ago I installed the spacers in here, the Psycho Developments spacers, 2 different sizes on the front and the rear, and part of that kit was indeed the extended wheel bolts, which look absolutely awesome. I think they are really nice quality. They're of course black, so they tone in and just look real nice as opposed to being like silver or anything. The reason why then I'm talking about these today is that of course these are just basic bolts. They aren't locking bolts at all. Now, I mean, I've been driving around like this just fine. I mean, the incidence of like crime in my area anyway that I live in terms of, you know, wheels being stolen or anything is very seldom, very few and far between. But that being said, it is a good idea to have some locking wheel nuts, so that is what I am doing today. If I open it up here, you can see they actually look super duper similar sort of design to the Psycho Developments extended wheel nuts that I had in the RS a while ago. This sort of like spline sort of design, and then of course this is our key. So yeah, essentially I just need to pull out one of the bolts on each wheel and replace it with one of these. Alright, first step then is to get one of our existing wheel bolts out. I'm using 17mm on a breaker bar. First of all, to loosen. And we can remove it all the way out. There we go. We'll grab one of our new ones. Just getting it started by hand. And we need to grab the key. We don't need to jack the car up or anything to do this, which is dead handy. So then I'll put my 17mm onto my torque wrench and torque it up to 140 Newton meters. So that is literally as simple as it is. That is this wheel done, and you can see that it totally does tone in, being black of course, and looks really good, and is just going to provide that extra little bit of security that we didn't otherwise have. These are very inexpensive. It was still a great deal getting the full set of extended wheel bolts with the Motorsport Developments spacers. So yeah, I am super happy with that. Just got to repeat the exact same process on the other 3 wheels. There we go then, that is all 3 jobs done for today, and everything looking good, looking fresh, secured fresh, and of course, like we were saying before, should I put something here to replace that FPM375 badge, such as the white line gel badges, or something else? If you've got any suggestions, or if you just want to suggest that I leave it blank as is, let me know in the comments down below and we'll get a discussion going. So, I hope you enjoyed these 3 little updates for today, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please do like, share and subscribe for more content to come very, very soon. Thank you once again. Goodbye.